Hello everyone, I have come up with Western political thought, and as I have been discussing Karl Marx, so we have already discussed Karl Marx in part 1 of the discussion. Today I would be dealing with Karl Marx part 02, and in part 02 I have taken up historical materialism. So let's start with the discussion. So here are the important topics that I would be discussing under Karl Marx philosophy. A brief and general introduction of Karl Marx, his dialectical materialism, his historical materialism, his theory of revolution, his doctrine of class conflict, concept of surplus value, role of private property, criticism in the end, and at the end of the discussion, I would be coming up with multiple choice questions on Karl Marx. So let's start with Karl Marx. General introduction. Karl Marx was a German scholar, an outstanding social scientist, historian, and revolutionary. He undertook a critical analysis of capitalist society. He propounded materialistic interpretation of history, and he showed the way for transition to communism. He was born in a professional middle class family. He received his higher education at Berlin University. He got influenced by philosophy of Hegel, but soon he came out with the differences. I would be discussing how he came out to be different from Hegelian philosophy. Further, because of his extremely radical views, he lost his job. And not only this, he was also expelled from the country. He then moved to France, which was the home of socialist thought then. Here he became ardent communist and he recorded his ideas on communism, which were later published as late as 1932, which were published as Marx Economic and Philosophical Manuscripts of 1844. So in 1842, Marx meet Engels in Paris. This marked the beginning of their lifelong friendship and collaboration. Marx and Engels made immense contribution to sociology, economics, and philosophy. Dialectical materialism. This represents the philosophical basis for Marxism. Hegel, the German philosopher, believed that idea is the driving force behind all the historical development. If you have gone through the videos on Hegel, it would become more clearer to you as how he has projected historical development. So, Marx rejected this view and postulated that matter was the essence of the universe, which embodied the force behind all manifestations of social change. And here he deviates from Hegelian philosophy. For Hegel, idea or consciousness is the main thing, but for Marx, matter is the main thing and it is the essence of the universe. So here he deviates from Hegel, and for Marx, each stage of development represented the corresponding stage of development of the material condition of society. Thus, Marx advanced the theory of materialism as against the Hegel's theory of idealism. Idealism and materialism. As you all can see that I have drawn a comparison between the two so that it becomes more easier for you all to understand the difference and how Karl Marx deviates from Hegel. So in idealism, idealism is a philosophical doctrine which regards idea or consciousness as the essence of the universe and treats all social institutions as the manifestation of the prevailing idea. Materialism. Materialism is a philosophical doctrine which regards matter as the essence of the universe and treats consciousness as the mere reflection of the prevailing material condition. So here you can see a comparative study of Marx and Hegel. Just now I have differentiated between idealism of Hegel and materialism of Marx, what it stands for. Here you can see the comparative study of Marx and Hegel. So I have divided it into three parts, the issues, Hegel's view and Marx's views on that. So first issue is philosophical basis. So for Hegel it is idealism, for Marx it is materialism. Path of development is same for both of them, that is dialectical path. Medium of progress for Hegel, it's war among nations, and for Marx, it's class conflict. And the final stage of development, you can see it here that in Hegel's view, it is supremacy of the nation state as the final stage of development, and for Marx, the final stage of development is the classless and stateless society. This I would be discussing in lecture as I go further. Marx abandoned the idealism of Hegelian philosophy and in its place put forward his philosophy of materialism, that is, the materialistic view of the world. Thus, it can be said that Marx's philosophy is different from that of Hegel. Marx himself admitted in the introduction of his well known work, Das Kapital, that I found the Hegelian dialectic standing on its head, I put it on its foot. As I have said at the initial stage of the discussion, that both Marx and Engels in collaboration have written so many things and have contributed so much to philosophy. So here you can say regarding dialectical materialism, Engels says all nature from the smallest thing to the biggest, from a grain of sand and sun, from the protista to man, is a constant state of coming into being and going out of being, in a constant flux, in a ceaseless state of movement and change. uh, Engels has skillfully explained dialectical materialism by giving an example of a barley seed. So he argues that if a barley seed is sown, it will turn into an offshoot with heat and moisture. In this way, the barley seed will destroy itself, but its offshoot shall take the shape of a plant. That plant shall bear many grains, and with the labor of the farmer, these grains can be of better quality. After some time, the plant will destroy itself, and the seeds will reproduce many more plants. According to Engels, the seed is thesis and the plant is antithesis and its fruit is synthesis. Again, I would be saying here that if you have not gone through the Hegel's video on Hegel's philosophy, please go through that. There I have discussed in detail the thesis, the antithesis and synthesis, so it will become more clearer to all of you. By another example, Angel says that in the beginning of the entire society had control over the land. This was thesis. So later the idea of individual control cropped up. It was antithesis. Individual ownership on the land established and the production increased. After the industrial revolution, what happens? Many machines were invented and there come up the idea of adopting mechanical methods. But the individual had no financial resources to buy tractor, install tube well, or etc. Whatever they have to pay in for the advancement of the agricultural production. They didn't have money, they didn't have financial resources. So therefore what happened? People demanded social ownership of land and nationalization of industries. In this way, the relationship emerged and established. This I will be discussing in the another lecture. Here I can discuss what is dialectics, because since we have started with dialectical materialism and used so many times the word dialectics, it becomes necessary to explain or understand what is dialectics actually means. So the term dialectic or dialectical is derived from its Greek origin, which refers to the method of investigation of truth through the art of disputations, that is, by the process of arguments and counter arguments. This method was successfully applied by Plato in his dialogues. Immanuel Kant applied this method for the study of contradictions arising from the employment of reason. Then it was used by Hegel to identify the process whereby such contradictions are resolved for arriving at a higher plane of truth. And dialectical materialism of Karl Marx we have just discussed. So I would be coming up with further parts of Karl Marx. Thank you.